Well, not too bad for the first ever December game at Ohio Stadium at the Shoe. Not too bad for the first hosted playoff game for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Absolutely dog walk Tennessee. I feel bad for the fans, to be honest with you. And I don't say that to be, condescending by any stretch of the imagination. If you're a Tennessee fan, you should be proud of the fans and, their presence in Columbus. Legitimately so. I'm not even trying to do a troll. I know social media has been fighting about it for the last 48 hours or so, but everything that I've seen, Tennessee fans are good people. The game just ended ticking down now. It didn't update on my screen here, but I'm shocked that Ohio State just absolutely dog walked Tennessee and just smashed them from start to finish, to be honest with you. I know Tennessee did have some injuries. Sampson got hurt early. Seemed like Nico probably got his bell rung early on, to be honest. I mean, he cracked his helmet down the middle. That was wicked, but yeah, I'm really proud with how Ohio State played. Like we've talked about in the past, we take after the Pate State model, Josh Pate, where we talk about the winners first. Hard to be mad about anything that Ohio State did in this one, to be honest. I think a lot of Ohio State fans talked about it on social media. I was saying the same thing with the people that I was with watching the game. Where was that against Michigan? Is like, Michigan won the game. Hats off to them. Congrats to them. And I'm not, trying to be rude by any stretch, but even some of the Michigan fans were in there thinking to themselves, where the heck was this in our game? Instead of just running it right at our two defensive tackles the entire time. I've already ranted about that. I'm in a much better mood than I was yesterday when I did that prediction video for my picks for the whole bracket and everything. I believe I had this game at Ohio State winning 28-24. Which I was right on one thing. We still don't have a kicker. I understand it was 56 yards. I honestly thought at the time it would have been better to do a Hail Mary, let one of our receivers try to go catch it. And because, Jaden Fielding already has confidence levels in the basement, I didn't think trotting him out there to try to kick a 56-yarder, whatever it was, 50-plus yarder, would be beneficial for his confidence, because nobody in the entire state of Ohio or in the entire country, probably planet Earth, thought that he was going to make that, and he didn't disappoint whatsoever. So I say all that to say I was right that we would never make a field goal. That didn't happen, and I'm just happy he didn't miss any extra points, to be honest. I'm glad we didn't need it. We very well could need it next week against Oregon in the Rose Bowl, though. That'll be a fun game, though. I'm looking forward to that. We will save that for a future breakdown before the game, though. Super proud of Travion Henderson, just all the seniors that came back. Everyone played really well for Ohio State. Going back on to the subject of the Tennessee fans, I mean, they traveled well. They invaded Columbus with, all the different bars, playing Rocky Top and everything else. So, as a fan of college football, I'm proud of them in the sense that, I just feel bad because, a large portion of that fan base traveled and spent their hard-earned money to go to that game, and to go and support their team, both in the stadium and then just, showing love for them the last 48 hours in Columbus. I was just really disappointed that the team didn't seem to really show up. They trotted out with their shirts off and everything. I made the comment, the last time I saw that happen was, I think it was the Seattle Seahawks players all, took their shirts off before in the pregame warmups and everything when it was a really cool day. And I'm pretty sure they went on to lose that playoff game or wild card game, whatever it was. Not much different here is I feel like that's a bad play. I understand you're trying to send a message, hashtag cold is just a mindset. Well, you guys did look pretty cold today, to be honest. You guys didn't run around much. I have a tough time buying that Ohio State's speed is that much more superior to Tennessee's. I honestly do think the elements did affect them. Everyone tried saying on social media, hey, Tennessee, we get winter here. It snows sometimes. Well, apparently it doesn't get that cold. I don't know, because it's just again, I'm not trying to dunk on you guys because I do feel for you and everything, but yeah, I'm just disappointed you guys didn't really show up. Again, I'm disappointed for the fans that the team didn't show up. We can look at some of the stats here. Will Howard, let's start with him. throwing absolute dots left and right. Turns out when you have really good receivers, if you give them a chance, they'll make some plays, on some 50-50 balls, or just, lob it down there and we'll see what happens. F it. Jeremiah's down there somewhere. So I never hate that. So Jeremiah finished with 103, had the 2 tutties. Again, Will Howard throwing dots, dropped a 300-plus yard passing game. Travion ran really well, two tutties with the 80 yards. He had 2 really good touchdown runs. Neither of them were kind of punching. I think Judkins had 1 or 2 that he punched in as well. Ohio State was able to play, all 4 different quarterbacks. Devin got in. Luke, South Dakota Heisman got in. And Julian Sayin got in as well. They didn't do anything, to be perfectly clear about it, but it was nice to see some of the younger guys. We got to see Bryce West, the pride of Glenville, Ohio. Shout out Ted Ginn Sr. Was able to get in, made a pretty good swat away on a 50-50 ball. Aaron Scott made a really good play as well, our other freshman corner. With Nico, he took that shot early in the game. I don't know if I guess maybe I don't know what I expected from him. It just seemed as though he did show a lot of heart out there running around. I thought he missed a lot of open receivers that were kind of streaking across the middle on drag routes and everything else. I apologize. I'm watching the highlights right now at the same time. I'm just so happy for Ryan Day. Like I said the other day in the video when we were talking about it, I was his biggest defender for the longest time. And this isn't meant to be like a see, I knew, because the job's not done. After that loss to Michigan, and man, I'm still not over that loss to Michigan. That bothers me to my core. In terms of where was this play calling in that game? And that's what even Michigan fans were saying online on social media. It's almost as if Tennessee only watched the Michigan tape before this game, and then our coaches remembered that we have pretty good receivers, so we started throwing them the ball, and Tennessee wasn't ready for it. Back on the subject of Nico, though, it just seemed like he was missing a lot of throws. I thought he ran well. He's obviously dynamic in open space, and he made some really good cuts, made some really good moves. But I was pretty underwhelmed, I guess, in regards to what my expectations were. I don't remember, was he the number 1 quarterback in the class? I remember he was a 5-star. I just don't know if he was the number 1 quarterback 2 years ago in the class. Nonetheless, I guess I had a little bit higher expectations for him and Josh Heupel with their game plan. I don't know. I just don't know what Tennessee team showed up today. And sometimes that's just football, I suppose, where just different situations call for different play calling maybe. Whatever the case, obviously no one's more upset than the players and the coaches are for Tennessee. Certainly their fans are more upset as well. I guess it was one of those, I thought this was going to be more like an instant classic game. It was cool hearing Ohio State fans do the SEC chants. It's interesting to see what Lane Kiffin's going to say, because that dude was popping off all day on social media today about how the SEC is just so built different. And to be fair, they are. There's 2 power conferences. I would probably still argue the SEC, top to bottom, is a better conference than even the Big Ten. However, this doesn't help his case. And he's going to have to eat some crow, I think. He probably won't. But to, talk all that noise about how SMU and Indiana should have never been there. For the record, hard to argue that, but at the same time, if you're Alabama, you can't lose 23-3 to 6-6 Oklahoma and then claim that, well, we should have been in. You just can't do it. You can't really have it both ways, I suppose. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse, but so it'll be interesting to see if Lane Kiffin talks about it. I can't imagine he will, but you never know. So, yeah, there's the stats. Obviously, I think, Dylan Sampson going out of the game early. Then even their backup, Deshaun Bishop, he went out. So then their leading rusher ended up being Peyton Lewis, albeit in garbage time against the Ohio State defensive backups. But, they did a good job keeping McCoy in check. Like they said on the call, good receiving core. No offense, but probably not great. And we have a pretty good defense in secondary, and they did their thing. So see Ohio State stats here. We talked about Will Howard. Obviously, Devin Brown saying got in. Keenholtz got in as well. Didn't have any throws, though. Travion ran wild. Will Howard ran when he had to. Got 37 yards. Quinshon ran hard as well. And then, I don't even remember Emeka's rush. But then James People got in during garbage time. Then obviously our receivers, led by Jeremiah and Emeka, both of those guys ate. Emeka was, he's our safety valve. He's Mr. Reliable. He even reminds you of not so much as a deep threat as Chris Olave was, but just being Mr. Reliable in the same jersey number as well. Jeremiah's a freak. We all know this. I'm not breaking news to anybody. And I think that's kind of what we talked about in the pregame was if I told you guys that Ohio State had either the best or the second best roster in college football, your response to me would be, yeah, no shit. We all know it. It's one of those things. It was just, under Ryan Day, there haven't been many games where I thought the coaches costed us. There's the Kerry Combs era where we couldn't get our defense right. And then obviously the Michigan game 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, when it was just awful offensive play calling. I still can't believe it. I'm not going to talk about that, though, because we're talking about this game here. Just happy to see. I thought G. Scott played well, too. What did he have? 4 receptions for about 40 yards. So, yeah, he played really well also. In terms of officiating, I'm curious what everyone else thinks. I thought the officiating, I prefer it to be how it went, where they call less, or they throw less flags, I guess I should say. I would rather them I thought they let some pass interference calls go on both sides. I thought Ohio State got away with a couple. I thought Tennessee got away with a couple. The big one that we'll all see on social media will be that interception. I did think it was pass interference on Jeremiah Smith when he was trying to catch that ball that ended up getting picked in the end zone, which was a sweet interception by that Tennessee player. We'll give him that. But again, if I could have it my way, I'd just rather let them play. I thought the officials weren't too bad. I didn't love that roughing the passer on Nico's interception, but it is what it is. He did get kind of pile drived into the ground, like Kirk was saying on the call, and I'm by no means a Kirk Herbstreit fan. I'm kind of done with him, so I didn't like him, or I always get these guys confused. I feel like Chris Fowler and Reese Davis are the exact same person. I think it was Chris Fowler, but I don't know. When you make the comment, when Ohio State has a false start when we're doing a hurry up and you go, whoa, man, these Tennessee fans, did they cause that? And it was very obvious. It wasn't a crowd issue. And then it was just the entire time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take anything away from a 20-year-old kid being Nico. But it was he would have a 3-yard rush. And they were just the heart and passion of this warrior. He is a Spartan warrior out here. I was I don't know. He stepped up in the pocket, didn't have anyone open, and he ran 3 yards. And then, he did run well on other plays. It was just every single time. It was I just cannot get over the heart of this kid. It is just bursting through his chest. I didn't think it warranted that, but it is what it is. So, Herbie and Ohio State fans, we can go into that in a separate video if we feel like it's necessary, but we're kind of having a mutual parting of ways. Turns out Terrell Pryor wasn't wrong after all. He was just early, as we learned. So I am on Team Terrell Pryor on his comments on Herbstreit that he made many years ago. I'm buying his stock. I'm picking up what he's putting down. But all in all, what does this mean for both teams moving forward? For Tennessee, obviously the season's over. I was looking a little bit on X before I started this video. And just in regards to kind of get the pulse of how Tennessee, obviously the Tennessee fan base, super disappointed. They were kind of saying the same thing I was, just in regards to, hey, we're really proud that all the fans showed up and showed out for the game, which they did, and really disappointed that the team didn't follow suit, which I think is 100% valid as well. I'll probably just scroll through some of these tweets. There's just a lot of shit talk going on, rightfully so, and it's as every game ever, post-game, just all these whatever team wins, just responding to tweets from the away or the losing team, for the past week, 2 weeks or so, right? So it's just kind of one of those. That's how it goes. That's the territory, I suppose. So yeah, they come trotting out with their shirts off. It's just a bad move because then I can't help but feel like you just start the game cold. Then you know what I mean? It'd probably be better to just wear your typical warm-ups and get the proper warm-up for the game. But I respect the message they're trying to send. I don't know. What do I know? I've never played in a game that cold, so they seemed like they were ready to go, at least right here. This guy working on his rotator cuff. But I'm not trying to laugh at you guys. It's just if you pull that move, if you lose and you don't show up, if you lose in this fashion, this is kind of what's going to happen. A lot of people were, I see, yeah, Jay Book's with me, too, with me as well. Dude, Kirk Herbstreit, WTF is going on with this commentary? I kind of agreed, to be honest with you. There's the Tennessee fan in question. This game will always be remembered as the one where Tennessee fans traveled in masses to support a team who never showed up. That's kind of the sentiment, right? And I do feel for them. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's sports, I suppose. Lord knows Ohio State had that game 3 weeks ago, and that was on our home turf, and we didn't show up for it. So it's college football. They're college kids. It is what it is. I think things were just clicking right for us, not so much for Tennessee, obviously. Oh, that's what I was going to say. A lot of fans I did notice were talking about Heupel and just wondering if he still deserves or if they want him back next year. I'm not going to speak for Tennessee fans. I don't know enough about it. It does seem like Heupel's pretty well liked there. My understanding is that he's a pretty good offensive mind also. I know it definitely helps when you have Hendon Hooker on your, taking the snaps and some of those receivers that they had as well. I still think Nico could be or will be good. I just think he's young, and that's a tough atmosphere to play in. I mean, Columbus and really Big Ten fans of primetime teams, primetime teams that warrant primetime, they've been yearning all season. Our only night game up to this point was, Western Michigan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is just a crime against humanity. I feel for Penn State fans. They got another noon game for, the big game they had today. They're showing the margins of victory. Obviously, Notre Dame won by 10, Penn State won by 28, Texas won by 14, and Ohio State by 25. So, yeah, it's a tough look, and, in regards, it's nice for me, I suppose, if I'm ever having the Big Ten SEC debates. I know my phone's going to be blowing up in the group chat, because the last thing I sent to them was Tennessee would go 500 in the MAC. Obviously not true, but you got to take your shots. We have some SEC boys in there, so I had to let them know my thoughts, just, throw a little jab at them, I suppose. And then for Ohio State moving forward, what does it mean? Well, it's momentum. That momentum could come to a halt, to just a brief, slam into a brick wall stop here. Come next week in the Rose Bowl when we travel back out west for our rematch against Oregon. Ideally, we air it out and we keep playing well. Ideally, our defense plays better in that one than they did, but Oregon's a darn good team, darn good roster, darn good quarterback, darn good fans who, Pasadena's pretty close to them. I don't know how the ticket sales work, if they just release 50-50 for all fans, or if it's just an open market and then whoever gets them is whoever gets them. I'm honestly not sure how that does work. But it's certainly confidence builder and momentum going into the next round against arguably the best team in the country, being Oregon, or at least right now on paper, as they should be. So I'm excited for that matchup, though, next Saturday, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's December 28th. Either way, whenever it is, I almost thought it was like New Year's, though, to be honest. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I don't know when it is. I can't remember. I had a brief thought where I thought today was Christmas. So it'd be next Wednesday. I don't know. Apparently I drank too much. I didn't think I drank much at all, to be honest, but here we are. Those crowns just hitting me different in my old age, I suppose. But all in all, no, it's a fun game to watch if you're an Ohio State fan. It's way more fun being on this end of it compared to the last video I did where it was just all these Missouri fans making fun of me for the post game. I will continue to do, again, obviously my score prediction was way off. I will do a score prediction for Ohio State, Oregon. Congrats to Tennessee on making, your first playoff. Obviously it didn't go how you guys want it, but hey, it's a lot better than being at home watching, wondering what if, I suppose. Obviously, again, you didn't want it to go this way, but it's a building block and it's a recruiting tool in regards to, we have playoff appearances. We expect to have a lot more moving forward. You got Nico some pretty valuable experience too. I have no idea what the outlook on next year's team looks like in regards to who you guys bring back, but you guys have always been competitive under Heupel, and I don't expect that to not continue into next year. So again, congrats to you guys on a good season. You picked a bad day to have a bad day, right? And we were firing on a lot of cylinders. These guys had to sit and just kind of chew on that Michigan loss for the last 3 weeks. And there was one of two ways, and I will give a lot of credit to Coach Day for that, is a big part of coaching is trying to keep that ship moving straight after you hit an iceberg the way that we did 3 weeks ago in the rivalry game. And I was really proud about how the team came out, both with mindset, both with intensity, both with focus, and both with, I said both, but I listed 4 here. And then just execution as well. So really pleased with that. I don't know in terms of what to expect for next week just yet. I'll think about it, then I'll release a video for them versus Oregon, and we'll see. We'll see. You never know. So I have high hopes. Momentum's a big thing in the world of sports. The big one is that we didn't really get anybody injured, to my understanding. I do think Josh Fryer, early on in that first or second quarter, they were talking about how they had that right ankle taped up because he got rolled up on or something. I think he played the rest of the game, though, so hopefully he'll be good a week from now, and we'll kind of go from there. So I am very pleased. I may go through, see if I can find any funny tweets or anything that I'd share, but if not, we'll see. Yeah, it's just tough. It's like now my Twitter feed is just strictly Tennessee hype posts before. So then if you go into the answers, then it's just going to be, oh, that's pretty funny. That's a cool graphic. Again, it didn't go that way they wanted it to, I guess, but I'm going to need the podcasters to keep that same energy they had last week, though. Facts. He's 100% right. Everyone, Ryan Day has had a long 3 weeks, and I have felt for him. This was a step in the right direction. A national championship fixes all. I think if you ask most Ohio State fans, even most Michigan fans, if you had to pick one where, I don't know, you beat your rival, but you lose in the first round of the playoff, second round of the playoff, whatever, or you lose to your rival and then you win the Natty, which would you rather pick? I'd be pissed about it, and I still am, but I'd probably pick the Natty, to be honest with you. I think probably most fans would, because at least you can flex the Natty on them, I suppose, even though they do have the bragging rights for the game itself. It's a tough one. It's an interesting one, but I'd probably pick a Natty, and that's still alive. So the team didn't achieve 2 of their 3 goals. The good news is that the biggest goal is still alive currently right now, and that could change very quickly once we're in Pasadena, but we'll see. So I did pick Ohio State in my bracket picks to win it all, and there's 1 game down. Boy, I smoked the Indiana, though. I picked Indiana to beat Notre Dame. Boy, was that a mistake. Those guys didn't show up at all. Yeah, Annie's with me. Where was this against Michigan? Joel Klatt doing his SEC trolling. Joel Klatt's kind of been an ass to Ohio State fans lately too, so I'm kind of lukewarm on him. I'm done with Herbie, but I'm still in on Joel Klatt. I still like Joel Klatt, but he is being an ass with some of his trolls here and there about those noon kickoffs that burn me alive. Can Vol football get a late score so they don't lose by the biggest margin of anyone in the college football playoff this weekend? I can't even really talk shit because we lost, 31-0 to Clemson. We're one of them. I guess Michigan State, there's a Big Ten team right there, lost 38-0 to Alabama. But, we played well, though, and I'm happy about it. So the goal was just win by 1 point or more, and we certainly achieved it. Yeah, Greg Sankey getting involved in it. The SEC commissioner shouting out, the volunteer fans for the SEC chants. I'm sure he's getting dunked on in the replies. It's always fun being on social media. Well, when your team wins, I'll tend to avoid it when my team loses. Like, I've kind of avoided it for the last 2.5 weeks post-Michigan games. But this was a good win for the Big Ten against the SEC, I suppose. Yeah, see, I'm telling you. See, even Michigan fans can't believe it. I can't fucking believe we beat this team. It's true. It's shocking to everybody involved. I still wonder if Will Howard had a concussion and that affected the play calling. But nonetheless, I still don't know why the play calling was let's run right at, Graham and Mason. It just didn't seem to really make sense, but what do I know? I'm done talking about it. It is what it is. We lost. We're moving on. Have our eyes set on the playoffs now. We will worry about that for the rest of the entire weeks once college football is over. I'll probably do a prediction video for all of the semifinal games. Obviously now, I think I got 3 out of the 4 this weekend. The big question, or the big mistake that I made was just picking picking Indiana to beat Notre Dame. So other than that, they were all pretty easy picks, to be honest with you, excluding Ohio State, Tennessee. I think everybody thought that was going to be closer, but yeah, just Ohio State fans just not feeling Kirk Herbstreit anymore. But it is kind of true. He has kind of been a D-bag, for a lack of better words. I just think he's, it's not for me to say. It is what it is. Typical Big Ten behavior from Ohio State, refusing to schedule a difficult opponent even in the playoff. All right, Reddit, CFP, or CFB, excuse me, I see you. Again, not a real electric recap, and I apologize for that, but a fun game to watch if you're an Ohio State fan, less than desirable for your first college football playoff game. But hey, Tennessee, here's the thing. Been there. We lost 31-0 to Clemson, and we got the shit kicked out of us by Alabama in the Natty in 2020 as well. So you guys will bounce back. I still think Heupel's a good coach, and when you got Nico, like I said, it was a valuable experience game for him. That's a big moment for him to be in. That shoe was rocking and everything. So all in all, congrats again to Tennessee for the great season, and go Bucks the rest of the way. We will see you guys in the next one. I'll do some previews for the quarterfinals. Maybe I'll recap some of the other games. I don't know. There's not really much to talk about, though. Notre Dame dog-walked Indiana, and then Penn State dog-walked SMU. And I really didn't even think the Clemson-Texas game was that fun to watch. That's the only thing that kind of sucks. You kind of wish these games were a little bit closer, I suppose. But all in all, that's a recap. I'll see you guys in the next one, and we'll talk about Ohio State versus Oregon in the Rose Bowl coming soon. So hopefully we can keep riding the momentum. We'll see, though. All right, go Bucks.